So he's basically trying to tell us something about super speed and movies. I believe he's gonna say how it's not real, but this looked like a long video, so we about to take this video and we gonna put this video in my favorite mode, which is 2x, and we gonna see.
Super speed is my favorite superpower, period.
Oh, whoops. I'm gonna like the video, but we gonna see basically what he's talking about.
Super speed is my favorite superpower, period. I simply enjoy almost everything about it. The problem is, it's almost impossible to implement into a film, show, or animation without some sort of inconsistency popping up later down the line. It seems that the cooler you try to make a speedster look, the more unusable they become. Now, what does that even mean? Let's take the scene with Quicksilver from X-Men, for example. It's one of the most memorable, entertaining, and unique scenes from the X-Men movies, and is clearly extremely popular. He quickly became one of the audience's favorite characters in this film. Here's the problem. By showcasing the speedster's powers in this way, you've now made it almost impossible to balance this character. By establishing that he can move so fast, bullets travel at the pace of a garden snail, you've thrown away almost any chance of including this character in a fight down the line, because they would just go up and clap the bad guy's booty cheeks before you can even realize what's happening. And it always ends up with the audience feeling dissatisfied, because the consequence of getting to see their favorite character in action is seeing their favorite character tossed aside. That's the super speed.
Yeah, like, what does he mean? Like, look, he ain't even. I remember this. He didn't even get to save the day here. He failed. Like, I'm pretty sure she destroyed everything. Like, she was the destroyer. Like, do y'all not be watching Disney, what's it? Like, the Marvel movies, when she got her whole movie, she destroyed the world. That's why, spoiler alert, I'm sorry. She destroyed the whole world. That's why she got her own movie, because she destroyed the world to the point where she basically destroyed everything that makes everything normal, and made the whole world like an episode of a TV show that she like every day though. And every time somebody that she pulled into her world would do something wrong, she'd restart the episode. Spoiler alert, I'm sorry.
Go up and clap the bad guy's booty cheeks before you can even realize what's happening, and it always ends up with the audience feeling dissatisfied, because the consequence of getting to see their favorite character in action is seeing their favorite character tossed aside.
Bro, look how she did that.
That's
while looking at
today,
him.
let's go over some possible solutions on how to fix this problem. How do we create a scenario where we can have our favorite
he's
speedster not hold
moving
back and fight, and
fast,
also
she's
keep
looking
consistent?
at
How do we
him,
make a
she's
seemingly
moving.
unbeatable character struggle? Well, first we have to
I
identify
feel
the types of speedsters we
I
see
feel
in
like
films and
she's
shows.
the only
I found
one
speedsters
that,
tend to fall
like,
into one of these three general categories. So let's
it's
begin with my
just
personal favorite out of the three, the purple
undefeatable,
speedster.
like.
This is someone like Red Rush, who all day, every day experiences
What?
things in super speed. Every second of every moment is slow motion for him.
You can't see things how I do. My perception is just as fast as I am. The briefest conversation with anyone seems like hours to me. It's agony.
Next, we have the situational speedster. These are speedsters who we see are capable of living at normal speed. This also seems to be the most common type of speedster. Most representations of the Flash, Quicksilver, and speedsters from other shows likely fall into this category. These are speedsters who only seem to go into super speed mode either when they're in a dangerous situation or when they choose to activate super speed. And finally, we have the simply fast. These speedsters are, well, just fast. They don't seem to have super react, where the world around them appears to be in slow motion because of how their reaction time keeps up with the speed at which they're moving. And here's the important part. Even if they do have some sort of super react, it's never explicitly shown. These speedsters are the easiest ones to keep consistent, because although they have the ability to move incredibly fast, it doesn't seem like their perception of time keeps up with that level of speed. And again, even if it does, it's something we're not explicitly shown. And I'll talk about why that's so important later. So now that we've got the three main categories we'll be working with for this video, let's talk about what causes this inconsistency. And really, it boils down to one thing in particular, which you've probably noticed me emphasize, and that's the character's perceived level of power from the audience's perspective. If from the audience's point of view, there's too great of a perceived imbalance of power between our speedster and their enemy, then of course that defeat isn't going to be accepted. Regardless of how powerful these characters actually are in the lore or in the comics or in the movie itself, it's that perceived level of power that truly matters when it comes to creating that entertaining experience. To further establish my point regarding this perceived imbalance of power, let's take a look at two different examples from the X-Men movies. One is Quicksilver fighting Apocalypse, and the other is Quicksilver fighting Jean Grey. We have to keep in mind that not everyone who watches these movies has read the comics, as like me, we've only encountered these characters through these films. And so again, it's very important to fully establish what these characters are capable of if you don't want a character's defeat to feel like it's out of place. And after some reflection, it seems like the reason why I and so many others felt like the writers pulled this fast reaction superpower out of their ass just to defeat Quicksilver in the scene was because up until this point we never saw him use this ability. Every other power he uses in this final fight has been shown before, all except this one. That's why it feels so out of place, and that's why it feels like Quicksilver was killed off just for the sake of getting rid of our overpowered speedster. What X-Men Apocalypse should have done is show him using this adaptive reaction time at least once. It could have been as easy as him quickly reacting to a surprise attack, or for example, dodging a bullet, instead of simply disintegrating the gun. Simply by letting us know that he has this superpower, Quicksilver's defeat suddenly feels much more reasonable. And the same thing applies for Jean Grey. We've never seen her react to things this fast before, so once again, it's an imbalance in perceived power, even though her character at this
But I'm saying, if you watch her world, then we all done seen her do these things, bro. Like, she's scary, bro. Like, she destroys so quick, it's crazy, bro.
It is incredibly powerful and probably does have the ability to do this. The fact that we've never caught a glimpse of this before made this defeat so unacceptable. In other words, if you're gonna have a powerful character get defeated by an enemy, make sure they're being defeated by something the audience already understands or has acknowledged. Otherwise, it's gonna feel like you pulled something out of your ass just to get that character out of the way.
My boyfriend and I have been arguing because he won't pay for YouTube Premium. But it's okay because I've just downloaded AdBlock from...
Don't do that.
Super speed really is a power that requires tremendous amounts of creativity to do properly, and I personally believe there's still so much to explore. Going back to perpetual speedsters specifically, I'd like to talk about the serious untapped potential this type of speedster has in terms of storytelling. In my opinion, one of the best ways to go about using a speedster like this is to make a show like One Punch Man, a show that embraces the fact that the main character is nearly unbeatable, and making it work by having their true battle be internal instead of external. We even saw glimpses of the show kind of going in this direction when Red Rush first explained his power. This kind of speedster would fit so well into a show with a darker tone that revolves around
no way he's
conflict.
that fast. Ain't no way he's that fast. Hold on. Ain't no way he's that fast.
Right, next up, we have the most common type of speedster, which we see everywhere.
There's
speedster
no
fits so well
way
into a
he's
show with a
that
darker tone
fast.
that revolves around an internal conflict.
He is not that fast. There's no way he's that fast, bro. I'm not talking about him.
To talk about the serious untapped potential this type of speedster has in terms of storytelling. In my opinion, one of the best ways to go about using a speedster like this is to make a show like One Punch Man, a show that embraces the fact that the main character is nearly unbeatable, and making it work by having their true battle be internal instead of external. We even saw glimpses of the show kind of going in this direction when Red Rush first explained his power. This kind of speedster would fit so well into a show with a darker tone that revolves around an internal conflict.
Right now, honey, the world just wants us to fit in, and to fit in, we just gotta be like everybody else. But Dad, we said our powers are nothing to be ashamed of. Our powers made us special. Everyone's special, Dash, which is another way of saying no one is.
Right, next up, we have the most common type of speedster, which we see everywhere, the situational speedster. This is the kind of speedster that seems to be able to control when their power is active and when it isn't. So unlike the perpetual speedster, they can actually live a normal life.
But
this type of speedster typically loses
fast.
fights when they, for no reason whatsoever, exit out of super speed just to stand there and do nothing, allowing the enemy to punch them. Yeah, there's not much else to say about this, and I'm not about to go on a rant. If a superpower is one they have to intentionally turn on every single time, then they'd still be susceptible to surprise attacks.
He's
However,
the
if their super
fastest
speed has
person,
been shown
he's
to activate
always getting
automatically
beat
whenever
up.
they're in danger, in this situation,
Like
the most we can do
always.
is have the enemy be clever. Whatever the case, it's worth it to experiment with more creative ideas so that both our protagonists and antagonists don't end up looking like a bunch of idiots who just stand there and do nothing.
Whoever you are, give yourself up.
And finally,
I'm
the simple
saying,
fact,
like,
since we previously
every
established
time
this is the most
he'd be
consistent
the
type of
first one
speedster,
there,
as they simply
first
just
one
aren't that
beat
overpowered,
up,
resulting in
first
the show
one
not
on the
having to make them
ground.
extremely stupid.
Then
and
they
beat them.
like,
in my opinion, this is the
we
type of
gotta
speedster
help
that is most
him.
suitable for films, shows, and animations in general.
Person
Without a
gets
reaction time
away.
as fast as they are,
Like,
enemies have
damn,
the ability
bro.
to catch them off guard, set up traps and ambushes, or directly confront them in a fight. And as we mentioned before, even if your speedster does have some level of super react, it's important to never explicitly show it to the audience, because as long as the viewer doesn't know exactly how fast they can see things, a speedster's defeat by some sort of surprise attack would likely still be acceptable in the viewer's eyes. And even without super react, there's still so much opportunity to show off their speed in cool ways. Take, for example, 𝐷 and Internals, using shockwaves as an attack instead of punches. Or these beautiful shots where we see her speeding across the landscape at regular speed. Like seriously, let's get more creative with the superpower. And if it really ends up being that complicated, directly reducing the top speed and the fastest reaction time a speedster can have would also seriously help. Dash is a fantastic example of this. He's just not that fast, and so you not once ever feel like this character is inconsistent. Not every single character that has super speed needs to be this incredibly overpowered, get everything done instantly sort of speedster.
To make friends.
He's got a whole ocean of friends. You're right, I'll do my best to make friends with the guy.
Joseph!
Or for example, if you really don't want to reduce the maximum speed a
He's
speedster
not
can have, you can
that
instead simply have
fast,
something
bro.
like this. This is an idea I've had for years, and I'm honestly surprised we haven't seen this get popularized yet. A speedster whose reaction time and speed slowly ramp up over time. Instead of immediately going from standing still to moving at 1,000 miles per hour, they have to, like a car, press the gas pedal and accelerate up to that top speed. This gives so much opportunity for the enemies to have counterattacks to their super speed, and it also allows the speedster to maintain that upper limit of power. But yeah, I really would like to see more attention on super speed as a whole. It's not just an ability that's too overpowered for complexity, nor is it one which is only good for a cool slow motion sequence, which leads to a character getting sidelined. By exploring some relatively unconventional ideas, we might finally start to get a glimpse of the incredible potential this superpower has to offer in terms of creating an interesting story.
Switching tax services can be a drag and drop. At H&R Block, switching to us couldn't be quicker.
He got a point.